you guess who it is? It's me. If you guessed me, you guessed correctly. Whee! I need to get a haircut. It's so high I can barely keep it in the frame. That's okay. So, why bother? Right? Today, I woke up, as I am wont to do after a long night's sleep, and I did what I usually do. I got on Twitter and I started scrolling through Twitter, again, as I am wont to do. And I noticed a lot of people within the writing community, #writing community, started saying things like, I feel like giving up, and why bother? And I thought, you've talked about this quite a lot. It's time to talk about it again, because this is one of those subjects that could never be talked about enough. And so, let's talk about it. Being an artist is hard. It really is. No one ever told me that when I was young. When I was in high school, when I auditioned for my very first musical, even though the director could see it in the look in my eyes, that as soon as I walked into that room, I was hooked. That director never once said, you know what? If you choose to go down this path, it is going to be a lifelong struggle. Now, had that director said that very thing, what would I have done? Well, had he said it early enough before I actually got 100% completely hooked, I might have reconsidered, and gone back to the original plan, which was to be a marine biologist. But the thing is he hesitated, or he would have hesitated. He would have given me just enough time to sink my teeth into the theater arts, at which point it would be too late. I would be hooked. And even though a director would have said, this is going to be a struggle for the rest of your life, I would have said, I don't care. I love it too much. I'm not going to give it up. And that's the truth. Now, I have had people tell me since then that the struggle of being an artist is a real struggle. And it is. And the number of times that I have taught classes on the university level, I never hesitated to say, look, this is going to be hard. But if you really want to do this, you do it. Because there is nothing like it. Period. There is no joy like that of creation, of creating art, of making something, of finding it inside of you to craft a new idea, a new world, new characters. It is magic. And there is nothing short of death that will ever stop me from doing what I do. So here's the thing. As an artist, regardless of what medium you practice, whether it's writing, whether it's acting, dancing, singing, directing, portraiture, sculpture, watercolors, doesn't matter. Whatever medium you have chosen to practice or study, know that it is going to bring you both absolute and complete joy and profound frustration. Now, the frustration is a multi-layered frustration, because it's going to be frustrating at times because you're going to struggle coming up with a new idea. You're going to struggle with a character, or even worse, you're going to struggle with the idea of why bother. And that is the big one. That's the Mac Daddy of struggles for an artist, because we are constantly facing this uphill battle. Okay? And a big part of it is that especially in modern times, well, no, actually, going back to the history of time, being an artist has always meant that you're going to struggle financially. Now, I remember those early days of my acting career. I actually, about 2 years ago, I happened across an old tax form from my earlier years of being a professional actor. And I saw how much I made that year, and I laughed. My first thought was, how did I survive on that? And then I remembered, well, I survived on it by eating a lot of ramen and Pop-Tarts and living in a small cottage house, renting a small cottage house for like $300 a month. And I survived, but I was happy. I was thrilled that I was doing what I loved. Now, here's the thing. It is really, 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 really easy as an artist to compare yourself with other artists. This is especially true in the field of writing, because it's really easy. You can go to Amazon and you can look at other books in the same genre, and you can see how many reviews they have, what rankings they are, and you can compare. You can look at your book and you can look at their book, and you can go, they have this many reviews, I have this many reviews. They have this rank and I have this rank. Now, you can't say they're making this much money and I'm making this much money, because you don't know how much money they're making. You only know how much you're making. And a lot of times, a lot of authors are lucky to make enough to buy a meal a month. Most of the writers I know struggle mightily to sell one book a day. And if you do the math, that, Amazon is taking 35% of that $2.99 sale, and then you can figure out how much you're making. And that happens over and over and over and over and over again, and you start to question, why am I doing this? Because remember this. Writers are also paying for editors, unless they're with a publisher. I'm very fortunate that I'm with a publisher. But most writers are paying for editors, paying for book covers, they're paying for marketing. So most writers, winding up in the red, losing money month after month after month after month after month. So it becomes quite obvious why so many writers throw their hands up in the air and say, why am I bothering with this? Well, let me tell you why. Because you're not going to find anything else on this planet to bring you that kind of joy. I love writing. I write every single day. And I love it. I adore it. The act of creation, to me, it's my religion. And I know that that might shock some people, but that's how I feel about it. The act of creating something new and then working with an editor to make that piece of work as good as it can possibly be, and then seeing a new cover for it, and then releasing it, and seeing people excited about that book, and knowing that people are reading it, people are actually buying, they're paying money to read my work. It is heart swelling and soul filling and mind blowing. That's where you find your joy. That's where you find the justification to keep moving forward. It's not about the dollars. Because trust me, if it were just about the dollars, the majority of artists out there would not be doing what they do. They do what they do because they can't not do it. Trust me. Ask any artist, any friend that you have, and who's an artist, and you can take a rock and throw it out into a crowd of people and you'll hit an artist and it'll bounce off and hit another one and another one and another one. Ask one of your friends who's an artist. If they could stop doing what they do, would they? Chances are the majority of those friends are going to say, hell no, I would not stop doing this. Years ago, like over a decade ago, my wife said, if no one bought your books, would you still write? Without hesitation, I said yes. And she asked me why. And I said, because it fills a void inside of me. Now, for me, that void comes probably, no, there's no probably about it. That void was created by me stepping away from my acting career. And trust me, I want to go back to my acting career. It's just hard to do where I am, where I live, because I kind of live in a big void. One day, one day, maybe I'll move to LA. Maybe. But the truth of the matter is right now, this time in my life, writing fills that void. And it has for 20 years. That's not true. I haven't been away from acting for 20 years because I started writing before I left acting. But while I was acting and writing, that void was overflowing. And now it's full. And I'm okay with that. But when I take a moment to stop and think, what would I be like if I just quit? I know that I wouldn't want to live with me. No way. So when I ask myself, why bother? The answer is very simple. Because I have to do this. Whether anyone's buying my books or not, I have to do this. Because writing puts me in touch with something that is very precious to me. My artistic life is so valuable to my existence. It is that thing by which I have defined myself for decades. And I cannot ignore it. I cannot set it aside. I can't put this away in a locker and say, I'll be back sometime. I can't do that. I've tried it. It lasted about a month. Until my soul said, hold on a second. This is not who you are, and you've got to create. Get your ass back into gear and do this. It was almost violent. I wasn't violent, but it was almost a violent reaction that I had. I have to do this. Now, ask yourself this. If you find yourself pondering that question, why bother, as an artist, and you can't find it in you to say, I have to do this, then maybe you can step aside. Maybe you can step back from your art and give it a break. And I guarantee you that while taking that break, you will discover, oh, I have to do this because I'm an artist. If you are a true artist, you cannot step away from your art. Period. End of story. That is the end of the discussion. So yeah, you're going to ask yourself that question many times during your artistic career. Just don't fall for the trap. Don't give up. This is too important. This truly is. Anyway, that's all I've got today. I hope that maybe somehow I have helped you as an artist to understand that it's okay to struggle with this. That it's okay that you're whatever it is that you do, it's not as widely accepted as other people who are doing the same thing. Give it time. Be patient. And work through the struggle and tell your brain to shut up. Stop doubting yourself. Do not let imposter syndrome wind its bony little fingers through your system and tickle your heart until you say, Uncle. Anyway, thank you all for listening. Subscribe to me, I guess. I should probably always be saying that, but I'm not a gigolo. I guess I am. Just not a very good one. Anyway, thank you for being here and supporting me and other fellow artists, because we couldn't do this without you. We really couldn't. Well, we could. It just wouldn't be as fun, I suppose. Anyway, have a wonderful weekend or weekday whenever it is that you listen to this and watch me, and I hope to see you very soon. Ta-ta! Wait a minute. That's not how this ends. Oh my God. I don't end this with ta-ta. That is so not awesome.